Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. Today we will talk about sports consumer behavior. So what is consumer behavior? Consumer behavior is not about the destination, but it's about a journey. So we're trying to figure out not just about what decision the customer will make, but we're trying to figure out why they're making these decisions. So why some customer chose some products over the others? So we are trying to understand what factors that will have impacts on their decision-making process. And so before I'm going to introduce the consumer behavior definitions, so let's have a quick discussions here. So I'll give you a scenario. So if you're planning to invest a fitness center here in Oxford, so you have to go and find out your target customers, right? Who will be your target customers, right? So you have to figure out what are the segment of your target customers. Why do they want to use service, and where do they know about your business? So you have to come up with this idea first. So basically the process is help you to understand your target audience. Before you understand your target audience, you think about who will be your major competitors in these small markets, right? There are a lot of fitness centers here in Oxford, right? We have university has a rec center, and also they have Anytime Fitness, right? They have Row 24 gyms. They also have a community park available. Community park is completely free. Right, they also have some other fitness centers, like North Quad Fitness Centers. They have Phillips Hall gyms, right? So they have a lot of different competitors in these markets. So if you're going to open new fitness centers here in this very small but competitive market, so you have to understand who will be your target audiences, who will be your target customers, who will be more likely to use your service. Right. So when you try to understand who will be using your service, so you will have to think about like what kind of persons will be using the fitness centers, right? The study showed the fitness centers normally will be utilized by customer for like these 6 purposes. Right, some people use fitness center to make friends. They care less about participate different kind of activity. They just want to go to a fitness center, meet more people, do some exercise at the same time, make some good friends. So this is one of the motivation. Another motivation is some people would like to loss of some weight, so they would like to go to fitness center, do some exercise, participate some exercise classes. Right, some people want to keep a very good shape, so they want to go to the fitness centers on daily basis, on a weekly basis, just try to keep practice, make sure they're in a good shapes, right? Some athletes, they want to improve their performance, right? So they're really motivated, so they would like to use the gyms, right? And also some people use that for health purpose, health requirements, right? The goal for them is they're going to improve their fitness levels, or doctor recommend them to, do some exercises, so they decide to use fitness centers. And the last one is about some athletes. So some athletes, in order to maintain their activities level, so they would like to use the fitness center. So people are using the same facility for a completely different purpose. So for you as a business owners, you have to think about who will be your main target audiences. When you identify these main target audiences, then you are able to provide a service that actually meet their need and demands. Right. So this is a quick discussions about when you open the fitness centers, what kind of question that you have to go and think about. Let's look at the definitions of the sports consumer behavior. So consumer behavior primarily concerned with investigating psychological and physical factors that will influence individuals' decision making in order to explain and predict their behavior patterns. Right. So the consumer behavior, basically we're using the social psychology to explain why sports customer attend or participate in sports event. right? So we would need to understand these sports customer, their motivation, their attitudes, their perception, their emotion, their identification, and their attachment. Right? The purpose for us to study consumer behavior is because they will really help you to make more informed business decisions, help you to reach the new customer groups, and also help you retain your current existing customers. So that's why we need to figure out about their consumer behavior. So this is why we have to study about consumer behavior. So the next topic we're going to talk about decision-making process. How will customers make a decision? This decision could be either participating in sport, buying purchase a particular products, right? So this decision-making process normally has 5 steps. But the first step is called problem recognition. So they need to have some sort of motivation first, right? Either you're going to buy a product or you would like to participate in sport. You need to have a motivation. You need to have something to motivate you to do these things, right? Second thing is we're gonna conduct some research. We're gonna find out some information, give up some option, and then we make a selection. When we try to make a selection, we're gonna evaluate all those alternatives options and make the best decisions for ourselves. And then we either purchase the products or we're gonna participate in a particular sport. After purchasing the product or participating in a particular sport, we would like to conduct a post-participation evaluation to see whether these participations really meet the goal that we were trying to achieve. So we're going to look at 5 different steps one by one. So we start with the problem recognition. So what is a problem recognition? Problem recognition normally is we are able to identify the big gap between a desired state and actual state. And then they can activate this decision-making process. So before we decided to participate in sport, or before we decided to use fitness centers, so we need to have a big motivations first. Maybe one day you realize you get a lot of weight, you want to lose weight, right? And maybe you go to see a doctor, have some health chat, and doctor tell you that you have some issues. So they will recommend you to use the facilities to do some exercise. Or maybe it's because you moved to another new cities. You always like to do some exercises, so you would like to go and you continue to do exercise. So you need to go and find a place where you can continue to do those basic physical activities. So this is a problem recognitions. So I will give you an example. Like faculties at university right now, so we have to pay the health insurance every month, right? So health insurance that we pay to the universities actually got different levels. So every year, university will schedule like health screenings for every employees. So some employees, if their health screening results are very positive, they got very good result, so they will enjoy the benefit, enjoy the discount when they're buying the health insurance, right? However, if some employee, their score is low, the tax score are not really positive, so they will have to pay full amount of money when they're buying this health insurance. So for people like me, I don't do a lot of exercise, so my physical condition is just okay. So my score is not extremely high. In order, to save more money, spend less money to buy health insurance. So I decided to, like for instance, I decided to use the fitness center or gym to do more exercise. So doctor's recommendation to me is like, if you want to keep a very good body shape, right? So there are 2 very important things that you need to do. First thing is eat healthy food, and also second thing is to do more exercise. So eat healthy food is very difficult, right? Because unhealthy food normally tastes better, right? So so I always say, oh, in order to keep good shape, so I need to do more exercise. I try to eat some healthy food, and also, and very important is to do more exercise. So I have to think about which fitness centers that I can use here in Oxford, right? There are a lot of different options here. So when I decided to buy fitness centers memberships at this point, so I have to think about which membership suit me the best, right? So in this situation, we're going to the second stage. It's called information search. Since I decided to participate in sport, since I decided to use the fitness center to improve my health conditions, so I will have to go and figure out which fitness centers fit me the best, right? So there are a lot of different informations available, right? Some information we consider them as internal resources. Internal sources is about your past experience. Maybe you have used some facilities in the past, right? So you get that idea about what that facility looks like, whether that's going to be a facility for you to use. So that is your past experience will actually have an impact on your decision making. The second one is called external sources. External sources that could include personal resources, your friends, your colleagues, give you the recommendation. They say, hey, that fitness center is actually very good. That gym just opened last year, and all the equipment are brand new, and they have a great personal trainers, and their customer service is fantastic. You need to go and try that one, right? So a lot of time, the decision will be impacted by personal resources. Second thing is about marketing sources. So marketing resources including mail advertising. So we receive the mail all the time. They're giving you all the different advertising. So a lot of time, you would do something after reading those advertising. Or some fitness centers have some promotions, have some discounts. So you would like to do this. The third one is called experiential sources. So a lot of fitness centers, in order to attract customers, so they will allow you to use that service for free for a few days to see whether you like it or not. If you like it, you can commit with them, right? So this is a very common strategies. They give you free lessons, so you can go and try those free lessons to see whether you really like the service they provide, the lessons they provide in that fitness centers. Okay, so that is the second step. It's called information search, right? Go to find out this information to see which one you like. So the third step is called evaluations of the alternatives, right? So there are a lot of different options. We talk about at Oxford, we have possibly 7 or 8 fitness centers. So we're gonna see which one suit me the best if I want to use one of them. So I narrow it down to 3 options, right? First one is university's rec center. Rec center is very close to my office. My office is Phillips Hall, right? Very close, walking distance. So basically every day when I come to work, I can just go to rec center, do some exercise, and come back, right? And another option is Anytime Fitness. Anytime Fitness is actually kind of far away from university, but it's kind of close to my home. So it could be convenient to my home. So when I'm done with working, I can just go to Anytime Fitness to do some exercise, right? And the third option is called Real 24 Gyms, right? It's another option which is also outside the campus, right? So 3 options. So I cannot buy 3 memberships. Most of the customers here are not going to buy 3 memberships, right? So I'm going to only buy 1 membership, only commit to one particular gyms. So which one should I commit to? So this is a decision-making process. So there are a lot of other factors will impact this decision-making process, right? First of all, cost. Now, cost could be a big concern, right? So if I use rec center here at Miami, so as a faculty member, we pay $233 a year. So every month we pay about $22. Right, but if I'm using Anytime Fitness, I have to pay about $480 a year. Real 24 Gym also have to pay $480 a year. So their membership fee is about $40 a month. right? It's kind of expensive, right? So so that is the cost, right? Location, we talk about rec center close to my workplace, fitness center close to my house. They are all good options, right? Row 24 gym is a little bit far away from my office, also a little bit far away from my house, so it might not be quite ideal. Potential risk, right? Fitness centers, rec centers, obviously, it's located in university. It's pretty stable, and Anytime Fitness is also the very big franchise, right? So the potential risk will be low, right? Time consuming, that we talk about rec center and Anytime Fitness. I would spend less time to get there, to do exercise. Service, we see whether I would like it or not. Convenience, right? What's the problem if I'm using rec center here? Rec center here is always packed. A lot of students are using it. A lot of other colleagues are using it. So if I want to have my private time, I try not to have too much interaction with my colleague and students off my work time. So I possibly, rec center is not going to be an ideal place where I'm going to do my exercise. Anytime Fitness possibly is better because I don't have to have a lot of interactions with the people that I know, right? I can fully focus on what I would like to do during the exercise. So there are a lot of different factors will impact my decision making process, right? So this is to evaluate all the different options we have and then made a decision. They say, okay, I decided to go to rec center to do exercise because it's cheaper, close to my office, convenience. The only problem is always packed, and a lot of students and colleagues that will also do exercise over there, right? So I decided to go and participate, right? Participation. The last step is evaluation. It's called post-participation evaluation. After doing some exercise, using the facilities at rec center for some times, so I'm going to evaluate whether I made the right decision, whether I really enjoy this experience or not. At this point, there will be pretty likely to have three different types of situations, three different types of scenario. First one is I'm really satisfied with my experiences using the facility provided in the rec centers, right? And so I would like to continue to use that facilities, and I would like to say nice thing about it, recommend this rec center to other people who are also considered to have gym memberships, right? So this is a satisfaction. And also possible I'm not happy with my experience there. Maybe the facility is packed all the time. I cannot get the equipment that I want to use when I'm doing the exercise. So I could just say, I'm not going to use this facility anymore. And the last one is called moral satisfactions. I am not really sure whether I enjoy what I'm doing here or not. So I'm going to re-evaluate it to decide whether I would like to continue or I might have to cancel my membership with them. So this is a decision-making process as we explained previously. So the whole decision-making process starts from problem recognition first, and then we're going to search information. We're going to evaluate all the alternatives we have, and then we participate in sport, and then we're going to evaluate the decision we just made, right? This is the decision-making process. This decision-making process is also the same to the customer when they decide to purchase the product. Normally, you have to do these 5 steps. When we're making this decision, they will be impacted by a lot of different other factors during this decision-making process. Some factors called internal factors. Internal factors include your personality, motivation, learning, perceptions, and attitudes. And also the decision-making process will be impacted by external factors such as your culture, social classes, reference group, and families. Right? This decision-making process will be impacted by situational factors, which we'll consider as temporary factors. Right, those including physical surrounding, social surrounding, task definition, time, and others. Right, so I'm going to introduce a little bit about different factors to see how those factors will impact this decision-making process. We start from the internal factor first. So internal factors, we're mainly going to talk about those four areas. The first one is your personality. So what is personality? So personality is a set of consistent response on the individuals made to the environment. So every time when we face that situations, we will respond in this way. So the word personalities comes from the Latin word persona. It's made of the characteristic patterns of thoughts, feelings, behaviors that make a person unique. It could predict what a person will do in that given situation. So some people are very outgoing, so they like outdoor sport. Some people more introvert, so they prefer participate in the individual sports, right? So your personality will have impact on your decision-making process. So the second thing is about learning. So learning is relatively permanent changes in responding to tendency due to the impacts of the experiences. So this is about the learning. So we have three types of the learning experience, or three types of learners. We all learn things, right? So there are three types of learner. One type of learner is called behavior learnings. Behavior learning is basically we look at how other people do and we're going to try things on and to figure out whether we like it or not. For instance, I'm not good at any kind of winter sport. I don't really like winter, so I'm not good at any winter sport. So one time I went for snowboarding for the first time. So I tried to learn how to do snowboarding. I found out it was really hard, right? So I keep failing down. So if I am a behavior learner, so I would like to go and do exercise to figure out whether I can master these sports or not, whether I like it or not. So if I couldn't do it, I would get punished. I failed them all the time, got punished, I feel disappointed, and I would quit. But if I can manage it to do it, so I will be more likely to participate in this sport in the future, because I think that's a rewarding process, right? So this is a behavior learning. We need to do it first and figure out these things and then master and to decide whether we would like to continue with that process. Second one is called cognitive learning. Cognitive learning that based on the ability to solve problem and use observation as form of learning. So instead of just go and do things, we can observe how other people do things, and then we kind of figure out how to do things. A lot of time, these kind of people are their fast learner, right? Look at how other people do it, and you would know how to do it. The third is called social learning. For the social learners, they normally watch others and learn from each other. So you would like to participate in the social activities. So you will learn from social interactions. So you were more likely to learn things if you have a friend with you. So for instance, people ask you, hey, do you want to go and try this restaurant? You say, I don't want to go. But one of your best friends say, hey, I want to try, do you want to go with me? But say, yeah, I want to go with you. Try that restaurant, right? So this is about social learning. So you more enjoy when you have companies with you, and then you can learn something. So these three different types of a learning process. So think about what kind of learners are you? Are you a behavior learner? Are you a cognitive learner? Or are you a social learner? Right. The next internal factors called perception. So perception is the process of scanning, gathering, assessing, interpreting the information in that particular environment. So perception is about your opinions towards that particular issues. So it may happen that when you attend an event with your friend together, you end up wondering if you two have gone to two completely different events. So you thought that event was boring, but your friend loves it, loved every minute of it. So those are perception, those are your experience, those are your opinions, right? So normally perception are what to create a very different reality for very different people. So everyone look at the thing from a very different perspective. So like different things. This is about your perception, right? So the last internal factor we're going to talk about today is a motivation. So motivation is an internal force that will direct behavior toward the fulfillment of the need. right? So I'll give you an example. Some people would like to participate in the fantasy sport. So when you participate in the fantasy sports, so what motivates you to participate in fantasy sport? So for people like me, I'm in like 2 fantasy sports groups. So one of the fantasy sports groups is with my like classmates when I was doing my doctor degree. So we start doing it when we were doing a doctor together. So even until today that we are teaching at very different universities. Some people may be working in the industries, but we still, having that fantasy sports participation experiences together. So every year we still, do the fantasy sports. So the purpose for me to participate in that particular fantasy sport is because I would like to keep that social interaction with my old friends. Right, so that's my motivations. For some people, so their motivation for participating in fantasy sport maybe is they want to win prize, because a lot of time you can win some prize, right? So we bid for money, so that will be a lot more fun. So people like winning money, right? So these are their motivation. And some people may be using participating fantasy sport as the opportunity to show off their knowledges of that particular sport. Say, I want to let you know that I know better about this sport than you guys. That's why I enjoy participating in fantasy sports, right? So this is a motivation. You find out people have a very, very different motivation when they decided to participate in something. For sports participation, the study show people have 3 broad motivations for participating in sport. The first one is personal improvement. So you want to see your result has been improved significantly. Like for instance, some people running marathons, right? People care about their personal best time. And so every time I try to hit my personal best time, I want to run longer, I want to run faster. So personal improvement is motivation for people to go and run marathons, right? The second thing is about sports appreciation, right? The reason people would like to run marathons is because they really enjoy runnings. So get some sweat is something they really enjoy. So they want that, have that experience. They don't really care about the times. Every time, as long as they can get some sweat, run a couple of miles, they're happy about it. So this is about sports appreciation, that motivation. And also some people running marathons, just having that social interaction with other people who have the same interests, who share the same interests with them, right? So those are the motivation for people who participate in sport. So those are internal factors, right? Including personality, learning, perceptions, and motivation. In addition to the internal factor, we also have some external factor, or we call it situational factors or environmental factors. So those will also impact the people's decision-making process. Those include culture, social classes, reference groups. So culture is set of the learned value, belief, language, traditions, and symbols that shared by the people and passed down for generation to generations. So culture has a huge impact on sports participations. I'll give you an example using U.S. as examples. So we know U.S. is is an immigrant countries, right? A lot of people coming from very different cultural backgrounds. Culture have really huge impacts on their participation in sports. For instance, Hispanic populations, they enjoy playing soccer, right? They like watching soccer, right? African Americans, they are very good at playing football, playing basketball, but really few African Americans are playing like hockey, playing baseball, right? So people coming from different cultural background might have a very different preferences in terms of sports participations. That's about culture. Another factor is called social classes. Social classes is the homogeneous divisions of the people in the society that sharing similar values, lifestyle, behavior that can be hierarchical categories. Social classes, a lot of times, they are determined by income levels, right? The money you make determine what social classes you are at in the society. We have upper classes, middle classes, and lower classes. right? So in the US, we classify the societies into the three classes, right? So a lot of time those are decided by the income. So who has been considered as upper classes Americans? So normally you at least made $330,000 per household. A lot of them get at least a graduate degrees. So those people are considered you are upper classes in the societies, right? So look at the number. Is about 13% of American upper classes, right? Most of people, I would say middle American, middle classes. So who we heard about the term middle classes all the time. Who has been divided or considered as middle classes household? So normally your household income need to be at least $61,000. You have a college degree, so those you be considered as a middle classes. And also we have working classes. The household income will be at least $33,000 and have high school diplomas, right? So about 70% of these people are considered as the middle classes in the United States. And also still got another 16% of people are considered as the lower classes. A lot of them only accept certain educations. Their income is also very low. They're working part-times, so social classes are different. Social classes have impact on sports participations. So look at all those sports. So they say the average cost for participating in iPad skating is $114, right? Golf is $85, lacrosse $72. Like those sports are pretty expensive, right? For the people from the upper classes, because they have the resources, they have the enough money, they can support them so they can participate in a lot of different sports. But people coming from the lower classes, obviously, due to their financial concern, they will have a less opportunity to participate in those sports that can cost a lot of money. Right? Social classes are also really impact sports participation because you don't really have that opportunities to participate in sport that you are good at or you are interested in. The last one is called reference group. Reference group are those individuals who influence the information, attitudes, and behavior of that group members, including your friends, your family members could be your reference group. We have like direct reference group is your friend and family members, or colleagues, and our neighbors, right? And also we have indirect reference group. Indirect reference group could be like your religion could be your indirect reference group. The media could be an indirect reference group, someone you don't really know, to give you the idea that will have an impact on you, right? So this is about reference group. So we have three external factors that we talk about today. And the last factors, which will also impact the decision-making process, is we call situational factors. Situational factors, those are temporary factors within particular times or place that will influence the participation's decision-making process. So they're including physical surrounding, the location, weather, physical aspects, right? So you really want to go to Cincinnati to participate in one event, attend one event, but because maybe it's too far, so that really impair decision-making process. Say, I can go there one time, but it's impossible for me to go there every single day. So I'm just chose another activity that's close by, right? That's a physical surrounding. Social surroundings, that's the impact of other people on the participation, right? Someone that would actually influence about your decision-making process. Time sometimes could also become a factor that will impact your decision-making process. For instance, tomorrow is your best friend's birthday, so you want to give them a surprise, and you want to give him a great birthday gift, but you only have less than 24 hours to prepare. Since you only have less than 24 hours to prepare, so you cannot do a lot of fancy things. So due to the time constriction, so you're just going to find something that particularly fit him, right? So those are situational factors that will impact your decision-making process. Or when you try to prepare a birthday gift to your best friends, maybe he or she has something he or she really likes, so you want to buy these things for them. So these situational factors will also impact your decision-making process, right? So this is those factors impact the decision-making process. So this is the model of the sports consumer behavior, right? Decision-making process including 5 steps: need identification, information search, evaluations of alternative, participation, and post evaluations, right? So that will be impacted by internal factor, including motivation, including perceptions, including your personalities, including your learning behaviors, right? And also they will be impacted by external factors, including your social classes, culture, reference group, and situational factors, as we explained previously. So this is the decision-making process. Okay, so this is the first topics for the consumer behavior. Okay, the first topic we look at sports consumer as a whole, right? So these sports consumer are very similar to consumer to purchase other products, not sports products, right? For the consumer behavior, another very important topic is we're going to study about sports fans. Fans, spectators, as a consumer, the way they behave are very, very different. So we would like to give you a quick lectures about sports fans. You find out a lot of people, although they watch sport, but they don't normally participate in sport. Right. One of the example, and they find out like golf, for instance, they have a big overlap for the golf spectators and golf participants. They say about 87% of people who watch golf, they also play golf on their daily time. Right. Basketball, they say is about 81% of the people who watch basketball are also kind of likely to play basketball as well, right? However, some other sports like running, so they say running participant and the spectators are not really overlapped. And NASCAR, obviously, people who watch NASCAR, a lot of them are not driving NASCAR, right? So sometimes in some markets, we can see the participants and spectator are heavily overlapped, and some other markets they are not really overlapped at all. Before we talk about sports fans, again, let's give you a scenario. I want you to go and think about and have little quick discussions here. So think about that will be an NBA game between Lakers and Clippers at the Staples Centers. So Ryan decided to, I would say, plan to purchase a ticket because he has been supporting Lakers for nearly 20 years. Right? He was born and raised in Los Angeles, so he was really pleased to see LeBron James join the team in 2019, and the team also have a very great success, have a very great chance qualify for the playoff for the first time since 2013. So he will be joined at the games by his 6-year-old son and potential business clients. So in this scenario, can you find out what factor that will impact Ryan's attending to the Lakers games? Right, there are a lot of factors, right? First of all, facility. Right, Staples Centers obviously is pretty well known sports facility. That could be one of factor. Right, second thing is about game attractive. Right, Lakers and Clippers, and they're playing the same city, so they've been rival in that particular cities, so they will attract fans go and watch the games. Entertainment, some people go and watch sports, not just for sport itself, but for the entertainment, enjoy the experience. Right, fan identification. Ryan has been Lakers fans for 20 years, so he has that loyalties, right? So he want to go and support his favorite teams, right? Ryan's also trying to use this experience to develop relationships. So they try to develop relationship with his son, try to become a good dad, showing his son about this great experience, and also to try to use this event to build up the connections with his potential business clients, right? And then what other factor will impact his attending will be including costs, right? If the ticket's too expensive, Ryan possibly not gonna go, right? Time. If Ryan is not available on the game day, Ryan possibly not gonna go, right? Location, right? If Ryan is not in Los Angeles on that day, he can't go, right? Team's performance. If team perform horribly, Ryan possibly have less interest to go, right? And also a lot of people using sports as a platform for diversions, basically like kill time. So for this quick case, you find out people can be motivated for attending a sporting event for a lot of different reasons. So sports fans have a lot of different reasons for them to be able to attend particular events. Right. So I'll give you based on previous studies. So sports fans' motivation can be classified into these 8 different categories. So what made fans participate or attend sports events? First one is self-esteem enhancement. So if they're supporting one particular team, if their team is playing, so they would like to go because they want to showcase, let people to know that they have a very strong loyalty to this particular team and they want people to have these opportunities. He would like to have these opportunities to support their favorite teams, right? To express their supports. So that is the first motivation. The second motivation is called division. Division also has been considered as like you got nothing to do, so go and watch sport. It can help you fill your time, kill the time. Entertainment value, right? Some people not just go and watch the game itself, but also try to enjoy this atmosphere, right? So that's a motivation for sports fans. Another motivation is called asters. Aster is provide fans with positive levels of this pressure. So everyone will have the pressure, but sports sometimes give you positive pressure, right? Because the game is unpredictable. So if you're watching your favorite team playing, sometimes you will become very, very nervous. So you will have that stress, right? This stress is actually a positive stress, right? And also economic value. Some people, the reason they watch sport is because they might participate in gambling. They're involved with online gambling. So online gambling industry generate about like $20 billion in revenues nowadays. With more and more states started to legalize the sports gambling, more people will be watching sports because they would like to win some monies through the gamblings. And also because some people maybe appreciate with the sports, a lot of time you go and watch the game is because they need affiliation, and also family ties also another big motors, right? Maybe there's a family activities, you can't skip your family activities, you want to have that social interaction with your family member, right? So those become the motivation. So those are a motivation. We find out, we done a lot of surveys among sports fans. We try to figure out why they decided to attend the sports events. So those motivation come back to the previous topics we talked about, right? So those like internal factors, right? Internal factor, they decide why we decide to come. Sports fans who come to the events will also impacted by external factors such as game attractive. If that's very exciting game, maybe you're not quite a big fan, but you have seen a lot of advertisement on that particular games. I've seen a lot of promotions, so you possibly say, well, since I'm here, so I can just go and watch to get that experience, right? Economic factors, right? Economic factors including controllable and uncontrollable. Controllable is about ticket price and the perceived value of the products. So if the game is very expensive, so obviously you'll not be able to go because you can't afford it, right? And also, if the ticket price are reasonable, so you're more likely to go, right? For the uncontrollable factors, it's about spectators' incomes. We don't know how much money they make, so we cannot decide this one. But for us as a marketer, ticket price is controllable. We can decide how much money we would like to charge for each of the sports fans, right? And also stadiums factor, right? That including a lot of time we're building a new stadiums, and the most updated stadiums, people would like to go and watch the game. It's not for the game, it's because they want to have this opportunity to visit the most updated facilities in their communities, right? They also have competitive factors, right? Competitive factors including direct competitors and indirect competitor. So other sports or this game is being televised will become your direct competitors. Other sports also being taking place at the same time, so people might go and watch other sports, right? If the game is being live streaming on multiple different platforms, fans may be just staying home watch the games instead of going to the game itself. So those are direct competitors. For the indirect competitors, that include other types of entertainment such as movie, such as music concert. So people would like to go and participate and enjoy other entertainment instead of just going to the sports games. So those are about sports fans' internal motivation and external factors that will impact the sports fans' decision-making process. So the next concept we're going to introduce is about sports fans identification. So for sports fans identification, before we introduce this concept, we're going to talk a little bit about the identity. So all of us have identities. Right? Identity is a quality, belief, and personality, looks, or expression that make a person and groups. Everyone will also have the social identity. Social identity is a person's sense of who they are based on their group memberships. So we all have our social role in the society. So we are the child of our parents. We are the members of the Miami universities, right? Some students also the members of your sports teams. Some students also working at the student associations. Some students may also have the part-time job. Some students may have a full-time job. So we are members of a particular association. So this is our social identity. Something is actually very interesting is, so will social identity change? So I'll give you an example. When Rams was in St. Louis, so fans in St. Louis might support the team, but since the team relocated to Los Angeles, how many St. Louis fans will continue to support the teams? And how many haters will be changed to supporters? Right? So you find out social identity could be changes. Maybe you associate yourself with the team today, but when the team being relocated, you might not become their fans anymore. Right, so that's one interesting example. Another interesting example is about LeBron James. So a lot of professional athletes, they normally have a very strong loyalty to their teams. Like Michael Jordan, he has been playing at the Chicago Bulls for many years. Like Kobe Bryant had been playing for Lakers for many years. Stephen Curry also been playing for Warriors for many years. Well, LeBron James is kind of different. Right, so he started his career at Cleveland, sort of like his hometown. So a lot of Ohio fans love him at the beginning. But when he moved to Miami playing for Heaps, so many Cleveland fans hate him, right? But they are really happy when LeBron James went back to Cleveland and helping the team to win their first NBA titles. Right, but now LeBron James moved to Los Angeles, so it's kind of interesting to see will Cleveland fans continue to support LeBron James since he left this team and left the cities. So that's actually kind of interesting to see whether fans' social identity will be changed. These LeBron James fans, their social identity will be changed. The identity will help us to introduce the next concept called fan identification. Fan identification is the personal commitments and emotional involvements customers have with the sports organization. So you consider yourself as what team's fans. For instance, I support Arsenal. I support Barcelona FC. So I will consider myself as Arsenal's fans or Barcelona's fans. Right, so I'm not watching their game every single day, but I try to follow their games as much as I could, and I would watch their games and also watch some highlights. So those are fan identification. I identify myself with this particular team. So when they play against other opponents, I will support them over the others. Right. Fan identification can be classified into 3 different categories based on how much you love this particular team, including highly identified fans, right? These kind of high identified fans, they have a long-term commitment to the team, the player, to the sports. They've been supporting this team for a very long period of time, right? Regardless the team is winning or losing, they're always there for them, right? Medium identified sports fans, they normally identify themselves with the team and players, but only for a very short term. If the team's winning, so these people will consider to be their fans. But if the team is losing, so those people will, they say, oh, all right, it's okay. So, right, for the low identifications, so they only attend event primarily for the social interaction and for the entertainment benefits. So they care less about support this team. So I just go and watch they play, right? So I don't have the feeling either when they're winning or they're lost. So fans identification will be determined by many different factors. They will be determined by the team's characteristics. Right. The team's characteristics is about the success of the team. Obviously, successful team normally have more fans because most of the fans, they want to associate themselves with winning teams who would like to associate with losing teams, right? Really few people. Right. Fan identification will also impact by the organizational characteristic. In addition to their on-field success, they also care about their off-field success and failure, whether the team is trying to build a winning team or they just try to reduce the payrolls, and how much the team has been committed to the local communities. So those factors will also impact fans' identification. And the third factors include affiliation characteristic. So it's the sense of the community that our fans build as a result of the team. And also another factor is called activity characteristic. It's about fans' activities, right? So being able to attend the game and being exposed to the event through the media, right? So those will impact the sports fans identifications. We talk about sports fans, we have 3 levels of identification: high, medium, and low. So how would that impact the behavior for those fans with high identities? So they normally has a less price sensitivities and less performance outcome sensitivities, which means if you have a lot of high identified fans and loyal fans, although you increase ticket price, you will not impact about their attendance. They still will come over here to support you. But for the low identified sports fans, if you increase the ticket price, they're not gonna come, right? For the highly identified sports fans, right, they also care less about the performance outcome. Or we would say we're not saying they care less about, but they less sensitive to the performance of the teams. So if the team does not have a very good season, the highly identified sports fan will still go and support him. But for the low identified sports fans, when you don't have a good season, so I'm going to support other teams, right? So this is about fan identification. The last topic I'm going to talk about today is about a fan's behavior. A fan's behavior is actually interesting. So there are 3 concepts I'm going to introduce. First one is called burging. Second one is called coughing. Third one is called crossing. What is a birthing? Birthing is abbreviation for basking the refractory. So birthing occurs when someone attempt to enhance their self-esteem or image by aligning themselves with success or glory for which they have little to no role. So birthing is talking about if your favorite team win a very important games. So sports fans always would like to associate with these winning teams. So instead of saying that the team won, sports fans will be more likely to say, we just won the game, right? Although you're not a member of the team, but you will say, we won the games, rather than saying like they won the games, right? So this is about bragging. So a lot of people would like to associate themselves with the winning teams because they can really help them boost their confidence, right? Boost their self-esteem, let them feel really proud. They consider their team success as their personal success, right? So this is called bragging. So think about when your favorite teams win the games, what would you do? A lot of people will be really happy, right? A lot of people would like to share their opinion, thoughts on social medias, right? A lot of people would like to keep talking about the same games, same goals over again. They want to share with other people. They want to watch the replay, right? They want to search on the social media to watch any of the related information about these victories, because your self-esteem has been enhanced due to your favorite team's victory. Because you are very confident right now, because you feel you're luckiest person in the world, because your team just won, right? This is called bragging, right? I would like to associate myself with the winning teams, right? And another situation is if your team lost, what would you do? What will fans do? Fans will be doing something called coughing, right? Coughing is a cutting off reflected failure, right? Coughing occurs as sports fans attempting try to distance or separate themselves from a failure that they may have negative impact on their self-esteem, reputation, and self-image. So if your favorite team lost, most of the fans would say, oh, they lost, they just lost. Really few fans would say we lost, right? Because they try to distance themselves from the loss. So you're not consider your favorite team's loss as your personal loss, right? So obviously, when your favorite team lost, you try not to read any of the related news information. You don't want to talk about the game with other fans, right? You don't want to go to the website to keep watching the highlight of the game, because your favorite team lost, that hurt your confidence, right? Hurt your self-esteem. So this is called coughing, right? The third situation is actually interesting. It's called crossing. Crossing is talking abbreviation for cupping of reflected success. So there are some fans. We say fans like to associate with the winning team, but there are some fans try not to associate with the winning team, right? For instance, Patriots. Patriots obviously is the most successful NFL game in the last 20 years, winning multiple different NFL Super Bowls, right? So a lot of people support Patriots, but a lot of people hate Patriots. Every time when they play in Super Bowl, playing the games, a lot of people don't like them, right? So why people don't like Patriots, right? So this is actually pretty interesting. Why people don't like a winning team? Because they win too much. So that's why people don't like it. So they say possibly because they're jealous. And it is one of the main reasons why people don't like these winning teams. And I visit Germany a few years ago. I went to Bayern Munich clubs. So the club managers introduced the club's history to me. If you follow Bundesliga, you know Bayern Munich is definitely the dominant team. In the last 20-30 years, the Bayern Munich possibly won 80% of the championships, right? So the team managers told me, they say in Germany, they only have two types of sports fans. One type sports fan is Bayern Munich fans. One type sports fan is non-Bayern Munich fans. There are some people like Bayern Munich, but a lot of people also dislike Bayern Munich because they win too much, right? So this behavior is called crossing, right? Crossing. Okay, so this is about fans' behaviors. Okay, in today's class, we talk about consumer behavior. We look at how a customer made decisions. In the second part of the lecture, we also look at fans' experience to try to understand a little bit about sports fans. Thank you so much for watching today's class. Let's talk about other topic next times. All right, bye-bye.